I will adapt.
Hey, I am here on this interview with one of the true legends in ultra running, here with Lazarus Lake. Welcome, Lazarus. Can you hear me okay, Laz?
Hello. I can hear you okay. It was kind of making funny mechanical noises a moment ago, but now it's good.
All right, well, listen, Lazarus Lake, for anybody who doesn't know, is the guy who started the Barkley marathons. And I guess before we even go any farther, my sympathy and everybody else who knows what happened. Barry passed away a few months ago. I'm sure that's been tough on you, Laz.
It's been a difficult year, but it's become a part of the Barkley. Really, we have quite a long list after 35 years. Not everybody that was there at the beginning has left.
Well, I tell you, most ultra runners are very familiar with the Barkley marathons, but if somebody happens to not be familiar, we won't go into that in detail on this video, but just Google or YouTube Barkley marathons and you're in for a treat. And I will come down to volunteer. I am too old to attempt it, but I am going to show up there one year. I guarantee you that, Lance.
We do our best to drive off volunteers.
Well, if you'll let me put it that way. If you'll let me, I'll come down. Anyway, Laz is one of 27 of us who have men and women who have walked or run across America. And we have a book coming out this month, March of 2020. And Laz is one of the chapters in that book, and we're thrilled to death that you're in there, Laz. To get started with, can you give us an idea? And I know you've been asked this before, but why in the world would you choose to run across America?
Well, that's the one that I'm asked, and I pretty much have the same answer because I can't really comprehend why anyone would not want to run across America. I guess if you were unable to see a map and see that there's an ocean on either side, you wouldn't realize the obligation to just do it.
Yeah, and give us an idea, the viewers, where you started and where you finished and why you chose those 2 points.
Well, I went from Newport, Rhode Island to Newport, Oregon. My goal was initially to run US 20 because it's the longest road across the US. And it also went through more places that I haven't been than any other route I could take. Well, I knew it started in Boston and ended in some city in Oregon. And when I looked it up on the map at the very beginning, it ended in Newport. So immediately you think, Newport, Oregon is not very far from Boston. So I checked it. I mean, Newport to Newport, how can you not do it? And it was only, so I started my transcon by walking 76 miles north and east.
Really?
Get from Newport to Boston.
Well, you're going backwards. I'm going to get
so
this.
In a way, my transcon was from Boston to Newport because I'd walked back to the ocean again, just in a different location.
Yeah. So, I kind of have a little bit of the history of your running, but I like to ask everybody, you've done a lot of running in your life. And so just a ballpark, give us an idea of how many ultras you've done and what kind of running, when you started running, when you got into distance running.
Oh, I started running in 1963 and did my first marathon in 76 and my first ultra race in 79. And I have passed the warranty. You only have about 100,000 mile warranty on your legs, and you know what happens when you get past your warranty. So now I only walk.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I'm 62. I'm not going to ask you your age, but I'm 62 and I do more, my run walks are more walks and less run now than they were 5-10 years ago also, for sure.
I initially would walk now and then to keep my legs from getting stiff. And then it gradually made that transition to where you run once in a while to keep your legs from getting stiff. And now I wish I could run once in a while because my legs just get stiff.
Well, you know, in the in our book, we've got 27 crossers, and some ran unsupported, where they either pushed a baby stroller. Some actually wore backpacks, and some, like me, had the easy way, you know, which is had a crew kind of following in an RV or a truck. How did you go? Were you supported, unsupported, or a combination?
I started out without support, but when I was laying it out, if someone had volunteered to crew me for a section, I did not turn them down. I had no great commitment to carrying my equipment across the country. I just wanted a continuous string of footprints. And after I got to Des Moines, when I crossed the Mississippi River, then there was, or not Des Moines, anyway, the city in Iowa, Dubuque. After I got to Dubuque, there was a lot of nothing. And the further west you go, the more nothing there is. And without being able to run, you can't close the gap between places. So I had to have a crew after Dubuque.
Exactly. We have a little bit of a internet issue there. Hopefully it'll come across okay. But I love the way you wrote your chapter. It's like a poem. Truly, it's like a poem. It's unlike any of the other chapters. It was awesome. I think everybody else that I've talked to that's read it absolutely loves it too. And you relay some experiences, but you know, just, I guess, give us an idea. What was your either your favorite day or the favorite experience or the favorite state, and also, if you don't mind, the worst, like the low point of your trip.
Well, pretty much every day was the best day, because the day before you can't change, and the day after you're not guaranteed. And especially on my trip, after I got messed up in Illinois and really bad in Iowa because of the roads, and I ended up having to walk to Wisconsin to get around Illinois, I got way off schedule, so my plans kind of fell apart, and the crews were being scraped together. I really did just get to walk every day, one day at a time, because I was not usually sure if I had a crew tomorrow or not. And Riverton, Wyoming was the low point on that count, because I got to the end of the day and the guy who had crewed me for several days, Jeff Vieira, had to go. And he said, "I think someone will be here in the morning." And they were. A couple of guys drove all overnight. When I got up the next morning and went out the door, there they were, sitting in their car, ready to go.
How about injuries? Did you have any injuries, walking or running injuries on your crossing?
Tore the labrum in my hip in Idaho with about 500 miles to go, and then lied to my medical advisor for the rest of the trip because I thought it was a stress fracture and they would make me stop. I mean, you've got when you're within 500 miles of the end, you're way too close to stop. But 500 miles is really far to walk with a serious injury.
Yep.
Thanks to that, it took a year to heal.
So you had the right attitude. You truly didn't have any bad days. I mean, obviously you were running in some rainy days and some miserable conditions, but you had the attitude that you were enjoying it regardless. That's what it sounds like, right?
Okay, I had about like 60 days of rain, which was about double the average. I changed the motto of my trip to filling reservoirs across America. Wow. I walked through 5 sets of tornado warnings, about the same number of floods. They got 2 feet of hail in my first day in Wyoming. I did my first day in the Iowa desert, where they averaged 8 inches of rainfall a year. It rained over 2 inches. I spent a lot of time shaking my stick at the sky and swearing, because that made me feel better about it.
I'll tell you what, you're making me feel guilty. You truly won't believe this. But I had three. I ran in 3 days of rain.
Oh,
Three.
so
3
it
days.
was your rain. It was your rain. You're the one to blame.
I can't possibly get off this interview with you without asking you about your backyard ultras. Just give us an idea how that came about and what those are all about.
Well, my backyard is only about 140 acres, so you couldn't have much of an ultra. We set up a course and tried a regular timed ultra, but it didn't really resonate. And I was trying to think of how, with the limited resources of just me and Sandra and just our yard, that we could have a good ultra, and came up. It was an idea I'd had in high school, and I just kind of adapted it to the current situation, and people came. We initially tied it to a free entry into the Barkley because we were hoping we could convince people to come. And as it turns out, that's not a real problem. As of yesterday, there was 117 backyard ultras in 36 countries.
That is unbelievable. It's such an unusual type of run. It was really cool when I found out about it, researched it. So kudos to you, man. I mean, you got not thousands, probably tens of thousands of people more interested in ultra running because of your Barkley marathons and your backyard ultras. It's just such a cool idea.
Well, it looks like about 15,000 people will do a backyard ultra this year.
That is unbelievable. That is.
Who would have ever thought?
Exactly. So I'm going to ask you one more question, and then we'll get out of here. If a lot of people, I think about walking or running across the country, and they have all these different fears, whether they should or whether they shouldn't. What advice would you give to a man or a woman who's been thinking about it for years, like you probably did, like I probably did? What advice would you give somebody?
Don't wait till you're old, because it's a lot harder and takes a lot longer. But do it. Just make the time and get it done, because it's a lifetime of an experience.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And like I said, this is a book again. Laz has a chapter in there, 26 others of us who have run or walked across the country, and they're all unique, different chapters. So thanks so much for contributing a chapter, Laz, and I sure hope to get to meet you someday very soon, either at Backyard Ultra or at your Barkley Marathon. You're an awesome, awesome character, brother.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you having me on here. You need to try a Backyard Ultra because they work for everybody.
Yeah, I like that. What is it? It's 4 miles in an hour. Is that correct? That's what you have.
Basically 4 miles an hour. It's 4.1667, so that it comes out to 100 every 24 hours. But it's not hard to do an hour. It's matter of fact, they say the Backyard Ultra is easy until it's not.
Yeah, and what I like about it is you always only have one finisher, right? There's only one finisher.
Everybody else DNFs because the guy who wins determines the length of the race.
Hey, thanks, Lance. I look forward to meeting you.
It'll be fun. You won't be able to shut me up, though. We'll see you one of these days.
All right, thanks, brother. Talk to you soon.